You know, Chris, there's one common theme we hear about build shops is they want more storage in them.
And this project offers plenty of just that, more storage.
That's right. And there's something I really like about this shelf. It's that it creates a home for all those little odds and ends that don't really have a place in your shop. You know, we have shelves here for sheets of sandpaper, and then we have these trays down here. And these little plastic bins are great. They're inexpensive, and they're a perfect storage solution for all those little odds and ends that you kind of collect as you're working on a project.
Also, this is an easy to build project. We're using simple dados, clear pine lumber that's a breeze to work with, screw it together, very quick, very fast.
Exactly. And you have a couple options here too. You could substitute out these plastic trays for some drawers, and the plans even call for installing a fluorescent or an LED light on the bottom side.
I think it's time to spray a few coats of lacquer on this project.
The starting point for building this utility shelf is cutting the main case pieces to size. And I've already done that. I have the two sides and then the three shelves that you're going to need. Now what you could do is go right from here and assemble those with screws. But I think there are some good advantages in taking the time to cut joinery like I'm going to do here at the table saw. By using some rabbets and dados, you not only increase the glue surface on the project pieces, making the whole assembly stronger, those dados and rabbets will help register the parts so they're going to stay in their proper alignment while you get everything together. And the starting point is to cut some rabbets on the back edges of the sides. These rabbets accept a back panel you'll add later on. To do this, you'll recess a dado blade in an auxiliary fence that's attached to the table saw's rip fence. I like to use a push pad to make sure that the dados are a consistent depth, especially if the pieces have a little bit of cup to them. Like I said, the dados that I cut on all these pieces are just to register them. Keep them in alignment while you assemble the project. The lion's share of the strength comes from the glue and the screws that you're going to use to hold the parts together. Now the key thing about the screw holes is that you want them perfectly centered on the dados. Now in the past I've tried measuring down from the outside of the pieces to get those marked and lined up. It's a lot of measuring and marking and things can easily go wrong. Don't ask me how I know. So what I've done instead is started drilling the holes from inside the dados. What I can do is take a square and mark the inset of the screw locations right inside the dados. Now I'll take my drill and the pilot bit and I'll just eyeball the center of the dado. With a narrow dado like this, you're going to get really close to the middle of it. Drill all the way through. Make sure you don't drill into the bench top. Now I know that all the screw holes are going to be in the right location. To complete the work, I'll just flip it over and drill the countersinks. Next, the front corners of each side are rounded off with a jigsaw. Then I'll use a file to remove the blade marks and even out the curve. Then finish up with a sanding block. I fit the main part of the case together in order to measure the final size that I need for my dividers. You don't want to go by the plans here, you want to go by the actual piece. Then you can size those for a nice slip fit into the dados. The dividers for the upper part of the case are a little different. They have a series of dados cut in them, just like I did earlier at the table saw, only these are narrower and sized for 1/4 inch hardboard, and they'll fit in the same way. When the dividers are finished, you're ready to begin assembly. In order to get at all the screw holes easily though, it's important to follow a certain order. First, apply glue to the dados in the upper and middle shelves and sandwich the large dividers in between. I added the small dividers and the lower shelf next. Finally, sandwich the entire assembly between the two sides. The final pieces to the puzzle are to add a pair of back rails and a back panel to the shelf. Now the back rails provide something substantial when you attach the shelf to the wall. They're just pieces of pine, and on each end I cut a rabbet that will interlock with the rabbet on the sides. There's also a long rabbet on the inside edge to wrap over the top shelf, or in the case of the bottom rail, the bottom shelf. You can just set it in place like that. But first, what I want to do is put a little bead of glue on there. Then I can drive my screws. And rather than waiting for the glue to dry with clamps, I'm going to keep moving things along by using a pin nailer to hold the pieces in place. Now the back panel can be sized to fit that opening. It's a piece of hardboard, and then to attach this to the case, I've drawn in some lines that correspond with the dividers and the middle shelf so that when I tack it in with the nailer, I know that the nails are gonna go right into the shelves and the dividers and not just hanging out into space. Once that's taken care of, I can flip it up and insert the dividers that will hold on to small items or even sheets of sandpaper. As handy as this shelf is, you're going to probably want to build one or two more and put them up in other parts of your house or garage. Woodsmithplans.com. Hundreds of professional, high-quality woodworking plans right at your fingertips. Every single plan is presented as an easy-to-download digital package that includes pages of step-by-step instructions, full-color photos, illustrations, and exploded views, retail sources for hardware and supplies, plus a cutting diagram and materials list. Many plans offer handy video overviews and guides. Plus, we're proud to offer our plans in both standard and metric. Everything is here, from gorgeous heirloom furniture projects to handy shop projects and upgrades, clever, cost-effective storage solutions, as well as weekend projects and accessories that are great for gifts. All fully searchable and categorized for easy browsing. Woodsmithplans.com, everything you need for building fine woodworking projects.